Alright everyone, it's time for Occult Literature, video number 307, A Lyric of Fairyland and Other Poems. Link in the description of my edition of this work on Amazon. It's 70 pages long, so it's similar in length to the Lucasta collection that I just did, and it's by the same author, Arthur Edward Waite. By the way, there will be as well links to my Blogspot and my WordPress. I forgot actually the other day to add the entry for the last collection, and I've actually got another one for tomorrow that's already there, so I might do 3 blog posts today, so check those out. The poetry goes under the occult fiction, technically. Now, this collection, I think, is a little bit better than the last one. I mean, I like Waite's poetry in general. It's highly theatrical. It's definitely more than tinged with the occult. A lot of it deals, again, with the idea of mortality, as compared to the seasons, like, you know, summer, spring, and so forth. The idea of things sort of cycling around, living, breathing, and then dying. This is a romantic notion, it seems, for him. And this is a counterpart to actually an anthology of poetry that Waite made later, where he collected poetry by other people, specifically English fairy poetry, related to the idea of Fairyland or mythology in the more general sense, the superstitious and supernatural. These are his own short collected poems. And I believe that this and Lucasta are the only 2 collections of his own work that he did. They're quite good. If you combined them together, it would be basically a full-length work of short poetic works. And one part in here, Hart's Tragedy in Fairyland, actually takes the form of a play. It has a setting and everything else, and it's dialogue, actually, between Harold and Muriel. And Muriel is I guess, a fairy-like creature, and he's sort of entered Fairyland, and you know, I won't give away the plot of it. It actually is quite good. It's not exactly Shakespeare, but he definitely was very, very verbose, very good in the general sense at creating poetry. I like the fact that his exploration into the occult was already taking place by the time that he was making at least the poetry that he collected, and so it has that particular overlap. And as I said in the last occult literature video with Lucasta, Parables and Poems, I'm getting more into that because what I've found, especially with Theosophy and a lot of the other movements and figures within the latter-day 19th and early 20th centuries, is there's a huge fixation on 2 things, theater and poetry. Great poetic works, especially those overlapped with mythology, were explored extensively, and Shakespeare and similar playwrights as well. And what happens is that it's explored from the occult angle, sort of like almost psychological at times, or mythological and historical. Like literally, you know, a 100-page study of just the allusions to witchcraft in the Shakespeare plays, and then there are books that are like that. It's interesting, and also poetry can be relaxing. Now, am I going to sit there and memorize it so I can recite it? No. But people back then did. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have television at this point in the late 1800s. I don't think they had, you know, radio. I think that was in the early 20th century. So what did they do all day? Parlor games, drinking, obviously, which I'm sure inspired much of this poetry too. And then they would memorize things. There are entire digests, like 1,000-page volumes that just have like little ditties in them, like little random historical facts, little poems, bits of prose and stuff, and the idea was to memorize them, and then you would talk with your friends. You'd have tea, or you'd have more likely alcohol, and people would get together for hours and hours and do this. And sometimes you have travelers' literature where people would literally be in a stagecoach or on a steamship or something. They would sit there, they would read, and then they would compare notes, and they would talk to each other about history and stuff. It was very interesting how people interacted in that time, how differently it is from today. I know I digress slightly. I apologize. But yes, it's a very good compilation. It's better than Lucasta, especially because of the addition of the Hart's Tragedy play, which is what it is. It is very short. I mean, it would be basically like one scene of a normal-sized play, but it could be acted out. Yeah, you could probably extend it if you wanted to. Any playwrights out there into the occult, you could take notes on that. Very well written. So again, link in the description of my edition of this work on Amazon. 2nd and 3rd links are to my books, blogs. Lucasta is also available. There might be other compilations other than his fairy mythology, fairy poetry anthology. Now, I'll probably edit that at some point and look into further poetic works by Waite as well as others. That's about all. Peace out.